Dear learners, I am Christina Georgy, your academic counselor. In the previous session, we discussed some of the stress management techniques like relaxation, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, and biofeedback. In this particular unit, we will discuss some more techniques for managing stress, such as cognitive restructuring and time management. Firstly, let's look at cognitive restructuring and the various associated aspects. First and foremost, what do you mean by the term cognitive? Cognitive refers to relating to or involving conscious intellectual activity, such as thinking, reasoning, or even intellectual activities. What do you mean by restructuring? It refers to organizing differently. So, cognitive restructuring can be defined as, I quote from Ghosh, a process of replacing stress-provoking negative thoughts and beliefs with more constructive and realistic ones, which reduce cognitive appraisal of the threat. I unquote. So, cognitive restructuring is simply the replacement of negative thoughts by realistic ones. And this will reduce cognitive appraisal of the threat. So, this involves changing the thinking process and making it more positive. All the negative thoughts are taken away and they are replaced with positive thoughts. For instance, if a student gets very low marks in an examination, there are probably two ways of taking it. Case A, the student may feel, oh, I have failed. There is no reason for me to leave anymore. And in some extreme cases, this particular student may even commit suicide. The case B would be, yes, it's just a failure. There is always another chance. I need to work hard and I need to succeed the next time. Do you understand the difference between case A and case B? Yes, these are two different scenarios in which this person who has attained low marks for an examination could think. The first thought discussed is the negative thought. That is, everything is over, there is no other chance, and I might have to end my life. That is the negative thought there. And what is the positive thinking process? The scenario in which the person thinks like, oh, failure is just a stepping stone to success and there is always the next time and I need to work hard and succeed the very next time. So instead of thinking oneself as a failure, if the student can take a learning lesson and decide to try harder next time, that would serve as a cognitive restructuring. Do you follow me? Good. So in this context, we can discuss the ABCDE technique, which was proposed by Albert Ellis. So it is a technique of rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT. What's the full form? Rational emotive behavior therapy. Who proposed this technique? It was Albert Ellis. So if you look at figure 7.1 on page number 91 of unit 7 of block 2 of your course book, you can see the ABCDE technique. There are 5 major elements. 1. Activating event. We use the alphabet A to denote the activating event. Next comes the belief. We use the alphabet B to denote it. Next come consequences, the alphabet C to denote it. And next is disputing. We use the alphabet D for that matter. And finally comes the effect. We represent it using the alphabet E. That is how ABCDE technique is formulated. So if you have a closer look at the figure, you can see that there is an activating event that is perceived on the basis of one's belief, and this belief can be rational or irrational. This in turn will have consequences, and these consequences can be both emotional and behavioral. If a belief is irrational, it can be disputed, which includes detecting that the belief is irrational, discriminating it from a rational belief, and then debating it in order to develop a rational belief. Lastly, there is effect, that is the effect of disputing the irrational belief. If you look at figure 7.2, you can see the example of ABCDE technique given in the context of making a mistake during a presentation at work. Before that, I would like to explain this technique using the example that I already used. What was the example? A student getting low marks in an examination. So then, what would be the activating event? The activating event would be the student achieving low marks for a particular examination. Then this particular student can have two kinds of beliefs. One, it's okay, it happens at times. The second belief would be, I am inadequate, I can't succeed. Alright, so which would be the rational belief? It's okay, failures do happen at times. It happens sometime. That would be the rational belief. What would be the irrational belief? I am inadequate, I might not be able to succeed. That is the irrational thought. So, if we look at the consequences, if this person follows the rational belief, this person will be slightly sad and he or she will try hard next time for the upcoming examination. Is that clear? Suppose this person follows the irrational belief that I am inadequate and takes up this failure as if a huge blow, then he or she will definitely feel dejected or depressed, and he or she will give up and will avoid making much efforts towards the success of any further examination. In case of extreme situations, he or she might even commit suicide for that matter. So, do you understand the ABCDE technique now? What about the others? It is simple, right? Yeah. Now, I want you to look at figure 7.2. I'll give you a minute. Just go through this figure 7.2. Thereafter, I'll explain that figure. So, in this particular figure, the activating event given is mistake made by an individual during his or her presentation at work. To this, he or she can either have a rational belief or an irrational belief. What would be the rational belief? A rational belief to this activating event could be, it happens sometimes. A mistake is not end of the world. The consequence of a rational belief would be that the individual will feel momentarily sad, but he or she will work harder next time to avoid repeating the same mistake or behavioral consequence. However, the individual could have irrational beliefs towards the activating events also. This could be the belief like I am inadequate, I am not good enough, to which the emotional consequence would be that the individual will feel dejected and he or she would give up and will avoid making presentations in future. It is important that the irrational beliefs are disputed by dejecting, discriminating and debating them, as it can be seen in figure 7.1. Once the individual is able to dispute the irrational belief, he or she will develop a more rational outlook towards the activating event. That will be the effect of disputing. In this particular example, the individual will have to rationalize with oneself that just one mistake is not the end of the world and that such mistakes happen sometimes, and he or she has much more potentialities, and just this mistake does not mean that he or she is good for nothing or inadequate. So that's all about the ABCDE technique. Remember, in our day-to-day lives as well, we will come across numerous activating events that evoke our beliefs. We might not be able to follow the rational belief always. I know that happens. Nevertheless, we need to ensure that we have a more rational outlook towards these activating events. This in turn will help us manage stress in an effective manner. So is that clear? The ABCDE technique, from the TEE perspective, it is important. They might ask you this question, and remember to draw the figures also. It's very easy if you understand the concept. So shall we move on to the next stress management technique? Wonderful. So moving on to an effective and systemic management of time as an effective technique of stress management.